much bigger than the rest of them. The next one down would be just your default button. So I'll just copy that again, save that. So that's just the default. Let's actually put a line break right here as well. Okay, we'll make that a little more readable. We'll put a line break here too. Okay, so we have the large, we have the regular, and then we have small. Copy that. Change that to BTN SM. And then we also have extra small, so XS. Save it, and you can see the different sizes. And of course, you can use different context with it as well. For instance, if we want the small one to be blue, we can do button primary, and now we have a small blue one. All right, we also can add a disabled attribute. So let's say this little one here, we want that to be disabled. We can say disabled equals disabled, and now if I hover over it, you'll see the little X. I can't do anything with it. It's disabled. Alright, so that's the basics of buttons. Now we're going to move along to forms, and for that I'm going to create a new container. I actually want to put this comment above the container like that. Okay, that ends there, and then we'll put another comment for forms. Okay, let's go ahead and put in a form tag. Okay, so we need to wrap a container. Okay, so in the form, let's do a field. Now you want to wrap your fields in a class called form control. Okay, wrap them in form control, and then let's put a label. So we'll say name, and then we'll put our input, give it a type of text, and let's see, we'll add a placeholder. We'll say add name. Alright, so let's see what that looks like. Oh, I'm sorry, this form control should be form group. There we go. And let's put an HR right here. Now, I don't like how this, I mean, this just looks like there's no styling at all. So what we want to do is in the input, we want to give that a class of form control. Save it. And now that looks much better. It goes all the way across. It has some padding, some height, width. So that looks good. Now let's do an email. So what I would do is copy the form group, paste that in, and change that to email. Probably want to change the type to email. We're using HTML5. And we'll say add email, save it. Now we have another field. Okay, we can also do text areas. Let's copy this form group, and we'll say message. Okay, and instead of an input, let's do a text area with the class of form control. You can still use a placeholder. Okay, but this needs an ending tag as well of text area. Alright, save that. Now we have a message. Alright, a select list. Let's just paste this in, save some time. We're going to go under this form group. Okay, we're going to have another form group and then a label with gender. Have a select class form control. Put our options, male, female, and I want it to be politically correct, so I put other. Okay, let's take a look at that. That looks pretty good. Also, file upload fields. We'll go under the form group here and paste that in. Oops, let me just grab that again. Okay, form group, label, upload file. We have an input with the type of file. And we can also have these help blocks. We have a paragraph with the class of help block telling us that we can only upload PNG and JPEG files. All right, let's just separate these form groups a little. All right, so there's our file upload. Okay. And we also have checkbox. Let's go ahead and add one of those. So under the form group, paste that in, we get a checkbox. Okay, very simple. And then let's put our submit button. Paste that in. We just have a button with the type of submit. Set it to the button default class. And there we go. So that's a very simple form using Twitter Bootstrap. Now we also have inline forms. What I'm going to do is just copy and paste this in the same container. Let's just put an HR here. Okay, we'll paste that in. Now we have form with the class of form inline. Same thing, we have our form groups. Okay, it's an email. This one is a password, and then we have a checkbox with remember me, and then a button. So what makes it inline basically is this class right here. So let's save that. And let's see, maybe this is too small to be in. Yeah, there we go. So when you get to a certain point, it stops being inline, but you can see there, that's a nice login form setup. All right. Let's see, next thing, let's move on to tables. Okay, so up to this point, you can see you have a nice little cheat sheet for the different classes. But let's see, let's just push this stuff over. Alright, so we're going to go under this container. And that should not be container like that. That should be a div. Did I do that anywhere else? No. Alright, you guys probably caught that a while ago. Okay, so let's see, form, that ends there, container ends here. Let me just make sure that matches up. Yep. So we're going to create a new container. Okay. Alright, so for tables, I'm just going to paste in just a standard table. Okay, we'll paste that in. It's just a table with first name, last name, and age. Save it. And that's what it looks like by default, which is pretty ugly. Okay, I'm just going to put an HR right here, separate it. Okay, so that's pretty ugly, and we can fix that very easily if we go and we add class to the table tag of table and save it. Look at that. Look how drastic that changes. Okay, it actually looks nice and clean. Now there's other classes we can add on to format it even further. For instance, if we say table striped, okay, what that does is it takes every other one and darkens it, gives it a nice little effect. We can also make it bordered. We say table dash bordered. I don't really use this, but it is possible. Okay, you can see the borders. What else? We can make it so that when we hover over a table row here, it will highlight. So we can do that with table dash hover. Okay, notice when I hover over it, it changes. And we can also do table condensed. Okay, and that will just make it kind of smaller. You can see it condensed the padding a little bit. And we can also use contextual classes here. So for instance, let's say Jill, we want her row to be red. We could say class, make sure it's on the TR, and we could say danger. Okay, now her row is now red. If we wanted John to be success or to be green, we could say success, and that turns his row green. Okay, so very easy, very minimal code to make this look pretty good. Alright, so moving along, now we're going to go to list groups, And you know what? I'm going to just add some comments here. I want you guys to be able to use this if you need. So this will be, that's forms, that's labeled. Alright. I guess for this one we could put inline form. Okay, that's our table, and let's go outside of the container. Put in HR, and then we'll open a new container. Okay, and we're going to do a list group. So I'm going to paste in just a regular list. Okay, save that. Your standard list, let's turn it into a list group by going into the UL and saying class equals list group. Okay, now if we just do that, it doesn't really do anything. We need to also add classes. Whoops. Save that. We need to also add classes to the list items. So class equals, and we want to say list group item, letting it know that it's an item of this list group. Alright, and then we'll just copy that. We want to do it for all of these. Alright, so let's save. And there we go. So that looks pretty nice. Now if we want to do a menu, that's going to be a little different. What I'm going to do is just paste this in. Okay, so notice we're not using LIs, we're using A tags with the list group item. Save that. Okay, whoops, we want to put that within the container. Okay, and notice that we can hover over them and they have links. Okay, now if I click on that one, you'll see that that's now active. Okay, it adds a class called active. If we want an active by default, then we can just go and add in right here. We'll say active, save it, and now it's active. Okay, and when you label it active, it gives you the primary context, which is blue. Now let's say we want this one to be success or green. We could say list group item, Jesus, I can't type, item dash success. Okay, that makes it green. We can also disable them. So if we go here and we just say disabled, let's see, list group item disabled. It should disable it, I would think. Okay, there we no. Huh. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Oh well. So moving on, let's move away from list groups. We're kind of running out of time here. I want to move on to panels and wells, which kind of give us a background for our content and also a heading. So I'm going to go outside of this container. Did I? No, I didn't. Let's put a comment. This group. Okay, we'll go outside of this container, create a new one. This is, let's see, container. Alright, so let's start with panels. Now let's go to the documentation and go to components. And let me just make this a little bigger. Not components. Or yes, components, but why isn't it working? Is my internet out? Please don't tell me my internet's out. Alright, there we go. Now if we go down to panels and right here. So we have panel heading without title, and we have it with the title. I want the one with the title, which is this right here, so we can just grab that. Okay, let's put a comment here. Paste that in. Tab this over. So basically we have a div with the class of panel and panel default. Then we have a panel heading with an H3 that has the class of panel title, and then the panel body where all the content goes. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so there's our panel. We can also add a footer to our panel. So if we go under the body and say div class equals panel footer, save it. Now you can see it has a footer. Alright, and if we want to change the colors here, we can use the context. So if we were to say, let's see, instead of panel default, actually no, we probably want to put this on panel heading. No, not panel heading, right here, panel default, let's change it to panel primary. Save that. And now you can see that it has the blue background, also gives us a blue border around it. So you can add that. You can make it green, red, however you'd like. Now wells are pretty simple. It's just the background gives you some padding and a background color of gray by default. So let's see, we'll go right under the panels and let's put a comment. Say wells. And let's do div class equals well. And we'll just say hello world. Alright, save that. What are we having trouble with live reload again? Looks like it. Alright, so that's our well. You can see it just has some padding with the background. There's a couple customizations we can do with wells. So let's just copy this, paste it in twice. This one will do well-LG. This one will do well-SM. So we can do large and small. And let's see. Oh, we also have to have the class of well. So we need both. Okay, so now you can see there's some more padding. This is bigger. This one has less and it's smaller. Okay, so those are wells. Now we're going to look at alerts. Let's just put HR right there. And I apologize if I'm moving kind of fast, guys. It's just that this is a lot of markup, a lot of content to go through. And I want to just get as much as possible. So this is for alerts. And let's see, what we'll do is let's paste in a couple of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we just have a div with the class of alert, the role of alert, and let's make this a success alert. Alright, now if we just look at it now, how it is, it's just the text. But if we add here alert-success, save that, now we get a green alert. We can do the same with info. Say an info alert, and we'll just add here alert-info. Okay, this one will be warning. So we'll do alert-warning. This will be danger, and I can imagine the amount of comments I'm going to have about my spelling. There we go again. Alert-danger. Alright, so let's save that, and now you can see the different alerts that we can do. Now, what's cool is that we can also have an alert where we can dismiss it. We I can click X and get rid of it. So for that, let's go under here, and I'm just going to paste this in. So div class, we're using alert warning, and then we're adding alert dismissible. And then inside of it, we have a button with the class of close, a data dismiss attribute of alert, and we're using this ampersand times for the X mark. All right, and the alert text will just say you can close this. So now you can see we have this X here. If I click that, it goes away. And I believe you have to have the JavaScript file linked for it to be able to do that. Okay, so next thing, progress bars. So let's put an HR right here. Actually, let's stay within the container. Okay, we'll just put say progress bars. And let's see, we're going to say div class equals progress. Okay, so that's kind of the wrapper class, and then inside you want to do div class equals progress bar. Okay, and let's see, we're going to give this has to have a style so that we can define the width of it, or the percentage. So we'll say style width is 50%. I think that should work. And in here, let's just put the text 50%. Let's see what that does. Okay, so that gives us a nice progress bar. Now there's some things we can add to it to change the style up. So for instance, if we want to make it green, we can use the contextual classes and say progress bar success. Okay, now it's green. We can also make it striped. Okay, now notice it's striped, and we can even make it animated if we make it active. That, and now you can see that it's animated. So pretty cool. Alright, so we're getting there, guys. Next thing we're going to look at is badges, or labels and then badges. So let's go ahead and put underneath here, we'll put a line or an HR, and then I'm just going to paste some of this stuff in. So these are the labels. Okay, labels, we have the span, class label, and then label default. Just like the buttons, we're using default, primary, success, and info, warning, and danger. So let's save that. Okay, now notice this one is big, this primary, because I have it within an H1. So if you put it within a heading, it's going to make it bigger. Alright, so those can be pretty helpful. Badges, so let's see, let's paste this in. So badges, we have a link here going to inbox, and then we just have a span with the class of badge and then 50. And then here we have a button with messages with a span of a class of badge with 2. Okay, so if we look at that, you'll see we have this inbox with 50. That's good for if you're building some kind of message system. And then you have the button messages with 2. Okay, so those are badges. Let's see. Next we have images. So for that, I'm going to paste in, we're going to go outside of the container, which ends right here. And I'm going to paste this in. Okay, another container, and we have an image with the class of thumbnail, and we're just using a placeholder image here. Then we have an image with the class of image rounded, which will give it rounded corners, and then image circle, which will actually make the image a circle. So let's save that, and that's what we get. You can see the different styles of image. Okay, now next thing I want to look at is a really important part of Bootstrap, and that's the grid system. Okay, so let's go right here. We'll put a comment. We'll say grids. This will be in its own container. Oops. Okay, so when we want to start a grid, basically a grid is broken up into 12 blocks. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12, and then you can say how many of these blocks you want to use in each div. So, for instance, a common one would be to use an 8 columns for your main layout, and then 4 for the sidebar. And notice that 8 and 4 is going to equal 12 altogether. All right, so what we'll do is create a row. Okay, you want to wrap your grids, you want to go by row. And then let's say we want an 8 column, so we'll say div class equals call md 8. Okay, and I'll go over what md means in a minute. And then underneath that, actually let's put some content there. We'll say lorem tab, which will just give us some content. And we probably want to wrap that in a paragraph. Okay, and then underneath it, let's just copy that, paste it in, and change this to 4. Okay, and we'll just cut this text down a little bit. Okay, so let's see what that gives us. Let's make sure we put an HR here. Okay, so here's our grid. We have an 8 column here, and then we have a 4 column. So this would commonly be the main layout and then a sidebar. Alright, so it makes it so that you don't have to use your floats and all that, judging the margin and padding. It takes all that into effect. Alright, so let's do something a little different. Let's do 4 3 columns. Okay, notice 4 times 3 is 12, so we can do that and have it look good. So we want 4 boxes essentially lined up. So what we'll do is, let's see, let's just copy this whole row right here and put it underneath, and then we're going to change this to 3. This one's also going to be 3, but we want the same text in each one. So I'm going to copy that, paste that in, and then we just want 2 more of these 3 column divs. So I'll paste that in, save it, and now notice that we have 4 3 column divs. Okay. What else? I mean, you could do any combination you want. You could do 2 6 column divs. So for instance, if we copy, let's copy this row. Okay, we'll go underneath this row, change this to 6 and 6, save it, and let's see what, okay, so notice that this and this, they're even because they're both 6. And we could put line breaks here to separate this a little bit. Okay. You could even do 12 1 column divs. So that's a lot of code, so let me just grab that. Okay, so we'll go right here, paste that in. So basically we have a row with 12 of these call MD1s, and look at that. Alright, now as far as the MD, that stands for medium screen size. Now if we go to a certain point, like let's say when it gets to here, when it's like tablet view, it automatically goes into just all on top of each other, no more columns. Now if we want to keep that format, let's say the 8-4 we have up here, the sidebar and the main column, if we want to keep that here, what we could do is say call-sm-8 and then call-sm.4. So if we save that, now you'll see that we have the columns back. If we go down even more, it'll do it again. Now if we want to still have those columns here, we could add call-xs dash 8 and then call dash xs dash 4. Okay, so now we have the columns again, which you probably wouldn't want. If you're on a screen this small, you probably don't want columns like that. But you can do it. Okay, so there's two more things that I want to show you, two pretty important things, and that's the nav bar and the Jumbotron. Okay, so we'll start with the nav bar, and we're actually going to put that at the top. So let's go away at the top here. And let's see, we'll put it right below the body. Now this is quite a bit of code, so I'm actually going to get this from the documentation, which is what a lot of people do. So let's go to components and nav bar. Okay, we're just going to grab this whole thing from this nav to this nav. And let's put that right here. Okay, just going to tab that over. Now let's see what this looks like. Okay, so there's our nav bar. This has a lot in it. It has our branding, our logo, some links. It has a drop down. And just to let you know, you have to include the Bootstrap JavaScript for this to work. Okay, there's also a search form, which we don't need, but you can have, and then some links over here with another drop down. And if we look at the code here, I'm going to get rid of some stuff. I don't want that form. So from here, this form to the end right here, let's get rid of that. Okay, save it. Now that's gone. We can also get rid of the links over here. That's this UL with the class of navbar right. Okay, get rid of that. Save it. Now that's gone. Alright, now notice that if I make this bigger, the navbar content is way over here, and I don't want that. I want that to be in a container. So what we would do in this situation is just see how it has container fluid. Change that to just container. Okay, now it's pushed towards the middle. Alright, also, if you want this to be a darker color, all you need to do is change navbar default class to navbar inverse. Save that, and now it's a dark color. Okay, and let's just change the brand, the logo right here. We'll say Bootstrap cheat sheet. Save that. Alright, so that's the nav bar. Next thing, last thing is the Jumbotron, which is, where is it? Basically a showcase area. We have a big heading, some text, learn more, and usually you'd put an image or something behind it as well. Alright, so for that we can just type that in. Let's go below the nav bar. Okay, we'll put a comment here. And let's see. We want a div with the class of Jumbotron. Okay, and then in here we want a container because we want everything to be pushed into the middle. Okay, we'll put an H1. Let's say, welcome to my website. And then we'll put in a paragraph. I'm just going to say lorem tab, give us some content, but I don't want it too long. Say up to here. Alright, and then we probably want a button. So we'll say href. Okay, give it a class of btn primary. Say read more. Alright, and a lot of times I like to center the content in the Jumbotron, so if we just add text center, and let's save that. Okay, so there's our Jumbotron. Now, if you want this to be gone, this space right here. That's the margin for the nav bar. What I would suggest is just in your own custom style, whether you want to do it up here or have your own style sheet, you could say dot nav bar margin bottom 0. Okay, and actually you want to have that after the Bootstrap CSS, so we want to put that right here. Alright, and that gets rid of that. And notice that the navbar by default has these rounded corners. Usually you wouldn't want that, so for what we could do is just say border radius 0. Okay, now it doesn't have the rounded corners. Alright, so this is a pretty nice cheat sheet if you need to know some classes for Bootstrap. That was what I wanted to do, get you guys that. I realized there are some things that I didn't get to cover. I probably will make another video for the JavaScript stuff, and just about definitely going to make that CMS admin theme UI that we're going to build with Bootstrap. Alright, so let me know if that's something you guys are interested in. Okay, and I'm always open to suggestions. If you guys read my comments, and you can see that I do respond to you guys. If you have a suggestion for a project that I like and I think will benefit my subscribers. Okay, I do have a 12 project course building Bootstrap themes, so that's something that you probably want to check out if you're interested in this kind of thing. And that's it. So if you like this video, please like it and please subscribe, and I will see you next time.